All right, I'm going to give you guys something to try, and it's probably one of the simplest things you can do to make yourself prepared. Now, Halloween is when everything snaps. That's when we get the cold weather. It usually comes for a week. Well, ticks, bugs, flies, they're all gone. They're hibernating. And that pretty much marks the sign of winter for most people. Now, in a week, we'll get warm again. But what you need to do, especially on a night like tonight, we might get down to 0 32 or a little bit above. And this is a good night to test it. So I'll put on what I feel my winter walking clothes should be and see how I feel. Now, I got a pair of gloves. The tips of my fingers are a little bit cold. So that tells me I'm going to need a second pair of gloves, like a pair of mittens to go over top. So that'll layer and my hands will stay warmer. I've got a hat, which is merino wool, and then I've got my hood on top. I got a pair of darn tough socks on. I got a pair of nylon pants on. And I got a shirt, long sleeve merino wool, and my jacket. Now, this is pretty light. And the only thing that's cold is between my knees and my thighs, so the top of my legs, a little chilly. So that tells me I need a pair of long johns. My fingers, like I said, and that's about it. Now, sit outside for an hour, dress in what you consider your survival clothes, and if you're completely warm and they seem to work, put them in a bag and put them in your car, and a pair of walking shoes. Now, a lot of women will go to work in the office in slacks or dresses, or guys might wear suit and ties. I mean, everybody's different in how they dress for work. So, if you had to get out of your vehicle and it was cold, like right now here in Tennessee, could you could you get out and walk? And would it put you in trouble? And that's the whole idea. You're basically preparing a set of clothes in your vehicle. That's what you're doing. Nothing more. Now, if you have to get out and walk, you can. There was a time back a few years ago, the state highway closed. We'd gotten super icy roads. Tennesseans can't drive on ice. They really can't. And the vehicles just all came to a stop on the state highway. They evacuated their vehicles, leaving them right there, and they went and slept at a Lowe's, a Walmart. Um, they went across the median. They got into the city, and they found some place that would take them in. And I'm sure on the radios and the cell phones and the Facebooks, everybody was saying, if you're stuck here, go here. I'm sure all that was going on, and it's a good thing they had communication to do that, which comes in handy. Hand warmers, another good thing to have. Now, they only run for maybe 6 8 hours, but that's long enough for you to get through the night until the next morning. And you can put in your pocket and warm your hands up, or in an upper pocket and keep your core warm, which is your chest. Now, that's your number one thing you're doing. Last thing you want is to do something stupid and drive into a ditch or lose control, and next thing you're stuck on a highway, but you're not hurt, and you're sitting there freezing to death, which is totally uncalled for. You can simply put the warm clothes on that you have and then be ready to hike it out of there. Now, another thing I have in both my vehicles, in my wife's vehicle and mine, in my wife's vehicle, I have a sleeping bag that's good to minus 30 below. Never need that for Tennessee. But I'm guessing she didn't wear the right clothes, she didn't have the right things. I just know my wife. And that's there just in case. She can get into that sleeping bag with just her underwear and bra and be completely warm. Now, what I've done is I've made it completely flat in the back because the seats fold down. We don't use the back seats. And I've laid the sleeping bag out flat like a blanket, and she's put things on top of it, like her groceries or whatever. And she probably doesn't even know it's there now. I told her it was there a few years ago, but she probably doesn't even know it's there now. Now, just before winter started a couple days ago, I went and took it out, shook it, fluffed it, and put it back, just for a little maintenance. And if you take water with you, for example, bottled water or a container of water, Water will freeze below 0 or 32 Fahrenheit. But if it's in your backpack and you're walking and the water's moving, it's probably not going to freeze. I mean, you probably got to get down to, I don't know, minus 10, minus 20 before that'll happen. And that's something to consider too. But you're just prepping your vehicle. You're taking into consideration if this box breaks down, what do I need to stay warm? And that's very, very important. Now I take these cats. I got quite a few of them here. You'd think they'd all be in the coolers because the coolers have heating blankets, well, heating pads that I bought for the animals. And they're not. They're not in there. They're sleeping on the chairs, or it's not cold enough for them yet. But I do come up at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning if I'm awake working, and I'll put some food down for them because when you eat food, your body generates heat. So that's another thing to consider. Have some hiking bars or some bars that you can chew on, um, jerky, whatever you like, and throw that in the vehicle too. Now, if you do have to evacuate the vehicle and you have to walk, well, now you got something to chew on, keep your mind active, and your body will start digesting. When your body starts digesting, the temperature of your body is going to come up just by simply eating food. It's crazy. It's really easy. Do not drink alcohol. Do not be that stupid. Never drink alcohol. I see quite a few guys saying, "Oh, I'm taking myself some whiskey when I go hiking. I'm taking." They must be alcoholics. You don't want to drink alcohol in the weather, especially if you're sleeping in a tent or if your vehicle breaks down, or that just thins your blood, and now you're not going to stay warm. Alcohol is a death sentence. So you see anybody drinking alcohol when they're hiking, that just makes for a very stupid person, and that's all it does. So prep your car for what you're going to wear in case you have to leave it and how you're going to stay warm. And put it all inside a bag and throw it in the back seat or the trunk. And now you've got a set of clothes. Now you got kids, do the same thing. I mean, it's the way it is. Now every area is different. My area doesn't get cold. And up near Minnesota and New York and places like that get a lot colder. But Tennessee fools people. And sometimes I think more people get in trouble in the South than they do in the North sometimes. Because here, we'll be very warm where all you need is a t-shirt and a pair of pants. Heck, you wear shorts sometimes. In another week, you'll be able to do that. So that fools people. Um, so they'll go out in a pair of slacks and a t-shirt, and all of a sudden 6 hours later it drops 20, 40 degrees, and they're like, where'd that happen? Where'd that come from? And that's what it's like here. And it's very, very, very dangerous because of those quick fluctuations in our temperatures. Texas does the same thing. Um, so anybody that drives in your vehicle should have an extra set of warm clothes, and they should be in there ready to go. And no matter what, if you have to leave that vehicle, you're not going to drop dead. You're not going to listen to your little kids going, "Mommy, I'm freezing. Mommy, my hands are cold. Mommy, my feet are cold." With just a little preparation, you didn't have to hear that. When I was raising my kids, I always had extra everything. And to me, it was just smart. When I used to live in Minnesota and I drove a pickup, I mean, it was crazy. The center console, in the center in the back seat, one kid was on each side, and the center went as high as the roof with blankets, sleeping bags, extra change of clothes. I mean, it was crazy what I had. Boots. I mean, and one time we did break down and we were on a desolate road, and with the 2 kids and 3 kids at that time. And all of them had to dress it. We had to dress them up there on the highway. No cars going by. Literally nothing. We all had to get out and start walking. There just wasn't enough gas to keep it running. It was time to go. And we walked for probably, I think it was a good 2 hours by the time a vehicle pulled over. And we only seen 2 vehicles the whole time. So the second one actually pulled over and offered to help, and I took it, and I was just, "Thank you so much." Because I had no idea how far we were going to walk. He took us to the next city, and that was a good hour and a half drive. And I had him drop us off at a motel. And then I went and grabbed a motel for the night, called tow truck in the morning to get the vehicle. And we were there for a good 3 or 4 days by the time they got the vehicle going and everything. And then we could get back home. So in that situation, we were okay. We had the winter clothes. Nobody got frostbite. Nobody died. And that was good. It was just sucked. You had to walk so many hours. But I paid for everything with a credit card that, my credit cards are always, nothing's on them. I only use them for emergencies. So we were okay. And it wasn't like, you know, I didn't call anybody for help. I didn't call anybody to say, hey, can you help me out? I have never ever depended on anybody but myself. And that's, to me, that's just a smart thing to do. But you should be prepping your car right now for a set of clothes. And if you can, maybe a sleeping bag, or if you have to stay in the vehicle, stay warm. I've seen people light candles in a vehicle. That's okay to do if you're awake, not if you're sleeping. If you can make yourself warm, that's an ambulance. I don't know if you guys can hear that. All the dogs will start going off around the area. But I've always went camping without a fire. I've always had my equipment where the equipment was enough to keep me warm, and I didn't need a fire. So one, nobody can see me, and two, to light a candle in a vehicle, I've seen people do. Just seems dangerous to me. If you nod off and you kick that candle and you light the vehicle on fire, I mean, it's just a dangerous situation waiting to happen. You're better to carry the equipment in layering and not have to depend on fire whatsoever. But if you do anything right now, go prep your vehicle, extra clothes, and think about if this vehicle shuts down, what am I going to do? Do I have a tiny bit? And you don't need a big backpack, a little one. One $20 backpack just to put some bars in, a thing of water, little things like that. You're not going to be, you know, camping and living off the land. This ain't no camping trip. This is an emergency situation. And you can pretty much get to most towns or places you have to go within 48 hours, 4 to 8 hours, if you're walking a pretty good clip. And or if you're hitchhiking, maybe somebody will help and pick you up. Who knows? But get your vehicle prepped and try to think about how light can I go, but how warm I can go, because you got to carry those clothes with you. Like when you're in Minnesota, 30, 40 below, and you're carrying a heavy coat and heavy snowmobile boots and heavy gloves, oh, that makes it hard to walk. It's possible, and I've done it, but it's hard to walk. So really think about that on what you're doing. Now to test it, like I said, go do what I'm doing right now. Go sit on your porch, sit there for an hour, and start feeling your body. I think I hear a wolf. A lot of stuff you hear out here. And whoops. And just get out and test it on your front porch and see how it feels. Now, if it feels okay, then you've got your clothes. Put them in your vehicle. If you're missing something, throw a couple more in, and then you'll be okay. So, anyhow, make sure you got the right clothes and you're prepped, and you don't end up freezing to death or getting frostbite or ended up in the hospital with a bill. And when it's as simple as putting some extra clothes in a garbage bag, make sure you're ready. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.